World full of busy bees working. I ain't never met a free person. I don't get along with these earthlings. I'm trying to seek purpose. Suffer something I believe's worth it. For a curse, I'ma reverse it. I don't dream cause I sleep nervous. Yet I keep flirting. Face death like a Steve Irwin. Whole heat, I'ma drink thermos. So the bartender keep serving. I'm trying to be perfect. Using dirty shit to clean dirt with, only happy when the weed burning. Traded oxygen to breathe herping. Till I see curtains, lungs fail and they cease working. Air is something that I need urgent. Suffocating, trying to squeeze words in. But what I do with my last breath? What I yell, what I cry, what I laugh? Cause I'm glad that I'm past that mess. Till I pass, never felt that blessed. Even bad breath when you living is better than good breath. When you lack flesh, got a glass chest that I cracked and my lost breath hasn't made it back yet. I'm on my last breath. Walking the last step, I'm on the last test. Final answer and my last guess. Wonder what I gotta pass next. I'm on my last quest, so much harder than my last track. Mad blessed, hope I can outlast death. Grim Reaper got my address, down in my last cent. Cash back from a check I don't even have yet from my last rent. Swear that shit has got me mad stressed. I inherited my dad's debt. Never got to hear his last breath. And the only reason I ain't passed yet, I'm the first ever been the last lap. I let the record show. I let the tech explode. Put up the weapon show. Pull up the Texaco. Knuckles in Mexico. Call up the technical. They know the text blow. Shot that I'm Plexico. Turn you to vegetable. Body electrical. Acid and alkaline. Body so flexible. The shooter's feast like a Uber Eats. Got a group of these scooter bees. Letting the Uzi Aruga speak. An American got up in Cuba eats. The powers they seek and powers the weak, they follow with tricks. Powers that be, inherit the world from cowards and sheep. Get to the mountains, top towers and peaks. Flowers and sweets and shower that feet. The lightning and thunder that shower the sleep. Shower the bees, it's not a verse, the sour receipts. But what I do with my last breath? What I yell, what I cry, what I laugh? Cause I'm glad that I'm past that mess. Till I pass, never felt that blessed. Even bad breath when you living is better than good breath. When you lack flesh, got a glass chest that I cracked and my lost breath hasn't made it back yet. I'm on my last breath, walking the last step. I'm on the last test, final answer and my last guess. Wonder what I gotta pass next. I'm on my last quest, so much harder than my last track. My bless, hope I can outlast death. Grim Reaper got my address, down on my last check I don't even have yet from my last rent. Swear the shit has got me mad stressed. I inherited my dad's debt. Never got to hear his last breath. And the only reason I ain't passed yet, I'm the first ever in the last left. It's like a track finish. I attract women, they the bad women. I'ma splash in them, leave a bag with them. Then I raise seeds to be mad different. If I die now, I'm coming back in you. Cause they dad missing, but they cash dripping. Cause they royalty, so they brag different. Ain't no ass kissing, never had feelings. Seen a white victim in a black witness. Mac gripping on my last mission. Yak sipping, blowing blackism. Gap missing, he was lack slipping. Smack hit him, now we act different. Apparition, the bad vision, the Mac a chip him, a crash the system. Uncle Tom, cause you that willing. Fuck the law, I'm going back to living. After prison, the black religion. Activism to conversations, sacrilegious to palms of Satan, black magicians, Babylon erasing, raise our hands to the God we praising, hustling, the marathon we racing, Nipsey at the finish line he waiting. What I do in my last breath, what I yell, what I cry, what I laugh, cause I'm glad that I'm past that mess. Till I pass, never felt that blessed. Eating bad breath when you living is better than good breath. When you lack flesh, got a glass chest that I cracked and my lost breath hasn't made it back yet. I'm on my last breath, walking the last step. I'm on the last test, final answer and my last guess. Wonder what I gotta pass next. I'm on my last quest, so much harder than my last track. Mad blessed, hope I can outlast death. Grim Reaper got my address, down in my last cent. Cash back from a check I don't even have yet from my last rent. Swear that shit has got me mad stressed. I inherited my dad's debt. Never got to hear his last breath. And the only reason I ain't passed yet, I'm the first ever been the last left.
Woo! There you have it, y'all. From live and direct from your brother Ken Bada, featuring Red and Blue Pill, the one and only Last Breath. All right, I can't wait for that video to drop. That's gonna be super fire. All right, y'all. Let's do this roll call and let's get right into the show. Pardon me for the technical difficulties, but they were trying to make opening up this gate a little. They were trying to make this shit hard on us. All right, but let's go. Philly is in the building. Shout out to Philly in the house. Florida is in the building. All right, Melbourne, Florida. Brevard County, Oakland is in the building. Chicago is in the building. Vallejo. I got Vallejo bars. Vallejo. I slay ho. Land of the Flowers is in the building. Shout out to the Land of the Flowers. Always in the building. Newark is in the building. I want to talk to you, Newark. I watched that Malcolm X documentary, Talk Black to Me. Birmingham, upstate Albany, Largo, Florida, NC is in the building, DC is in the building, Chicago is in the building, Chi-Town is in the building, Queensbridge is in the building, West Phoenix is in the building, Sacktown is in the building, College Park is in the building, Bettermore is in the building, yeah, West Virginia is in the building, Myrtle, SC is in the building. Thank you, Jamal, for that kind offering, that gift right there. Clinton Hill is in the building. Brooklyn is in the building. Yeah, I used to live in Clinton Hills. Louisville is in the building. Louisville, we're coming to Louisville. We're actually talking to the promoters, wrapping up the everything right now. Arlington is in the building. Texas, we are coming to Texas as well. Newark, we're actually coming to Newark too. Milwaukee in the building. East Flatbush, shout out to Flatbush, always. SC is in the building. SC, we are coming to SC Juneteenth weekend. We will be in North Carolina. But right after that, we'll be, I believe, in South Carolina. And I think I'm going to pop up at the FBA conference in Atlanta that same weekend, too. Because, you know, the people got to connect. You know what I mean? Voltron got to form. I got to see some things. Cincinnati is in the building. Ohio, we're coming out there as well. Virginia, we're coming out there. Damn, I didn't realize we were going everywhere. Florida's in the building. Norfolk, like I said, Norfolk, you will see us soon. We're going to be dropping all of the flyers on these shows. Most importantly, this show, keep in mind, episode 100, right? But this Brooklyn, New York in the building, Gainesville in the building, San Fernando in the building. This will be the Mondays where this will probably be the Monday where you'll be able to see me on YouTube. I'm not going to be on YouTube anymore on Thursdays. That's going to be our private class. That's Third Eye Thursdays, KTL University. We're taking that off of YouTube. We're taking that into a classroom. Believe you me, you're going to benefit off of all of the information that's going to be disseminated in that. Full lectures, not even, you know, not none of this, full classroom. So shout out to everybody who has joined the classroom. I'm getting a lot of orders. I'm getting a lot of people signing up because if you are, if you become a viewer or if you get a ticket to watch the Thursday lecture that we're doing, the first one of this series that starts in March, which is entitled Fear of a Blackamoor Messiah 2020. This is part 2, the year of fear. And if I said it back then, you probably was like, "Will Red Pill talk about year of fear?" Probably like 2 months ago. But right now, today, when I say 2020 year of fear, you can smell what the Rock is cooking. I think you can understand what I'm talking about. 2020 year of fear. All right. I don't remember, or nor do I recall. Where's the link to the class? I'm going to drop the link right there in the chat room. Okay. I'll go and bring the Eventbrite link, and it will be in the description of the video as well. So you could just go right there and click on it. And if you're going to go search on Google, just put 2020 year of fear.eventbrite.com. If you want to go right to the page, it's 2020 year of fear. And I will put that up on a ticker. I also take you to the page while we're on there so you can see what it looks like. But here goes the link to it in the chat room. Shout out to Empress B444 in the building. I want to say first and foremost, before I even continue, that episode 100 is here. And you had a lot to do with that, sister. You held it down for Know the Ledge. You held it down for Melanin Monday. You held it down for Third Eye Thursday in a way that nobody has ever held down these shows when we were doing them. You dig what I'm saying? Like you really held it down, and you got a gift coming to you. Matter of fact, I might have to go through some of the inventory and see what we could pick out for you in real time. So I want to say publicly in front of everybody, I give you the utmost respect. I give you thanks. I give you thanks spelled with an onk. So I give you thanks. You know what I'm saying? Not thank you, but thank you with an onk. Hold on, with an onk at? With an onk, beloved. You know what I'm talking about? So, you know, it's been a beautiful journey. Do y'all agree? Look at where we're at 100 episodes later in the world of YouTube. Look at where we find ourselves. Conveniently, March the 2nd, 2020, 100 Melanin Mondays. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of Mondays. You feel me? 100. I don't think I did 100 straight. I might have took about a break here and there. But yeah, we've been delivering. And to do a show tonight, the kind of show that I was anticipating to do for the family that needs to be done, I didn't have enough time to put that show together, because what I wanted to do, you know, because I have this lecture in front of me, what I'm going to do and what's coming in the pipeline, you know, is a montage of those 100 episodes, because I was reviewing episode 1 and I was like, well, goddamn it. You out here predicting things, brother Red Pill. You know, I was doing my normal thing, you know, giving you the cloth. But when I go back and I review this cloth, it's vintage. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a Chanel bag. It just gets more, you know, it gets more pricier the older it gets. You know, it gets more valuable. You know, that's when you know your cloth is worth something. It's a lot of people who came amongst us and rolled out their cloth. You know what I mean? There's no denying that there was a cloth war taking place. You know what I'm saying? That you know, niggas was out here giving out a lot of cloth. But come to find out, you know what I'm talking about? When you went and seen that it was made in China, a lot of that cloth was counterfeit. You know what I'm talking about? The shit looked like it was Louis, but it was Huey P. You know what I'm saying? It was Huey P. Vuitton. It wasn't that Louis. It wasn't Ralph though. You know what I mean? It was that Louis V. It wasn't that. It was the Huey P. Vuitton. A lot of counterfeit cloth. You know what I'm talking about? And niggas be out here talking about that they paid their dues. And they did. But come to find out, that was counterfeit too. You know what I'm talking about? Niggas paid their dues with counterfeit bills. So, you know, you just gotta peep the vibes. But it's been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful journey thus far, you know, being able to speak on things with an audience of brothers and sisters who trust me enough, right, to listen and to, you know, take the information and to actually do something with the information, and not just do something with the information, begin to, you know, utilize the information for their benefits. Because I get a lot of inboxes and I see a lot of people in my travels. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I promise you, this shit is a movie. Wait till I get retrofitted with the Google glasses or the motherfucking GoPro cam. You're gonna see some shit. This is gonna be a movie, because everywhere that I go, it doesn't fail. Like, people are like, oh, wait a minute, say word, brother Red Pill from YouTube. I'm like, yeah, I'm real, like I exist. You know what I'm saying? I travel the same way you do. What's popping? And the conversations that I have on the road, and the conversations that I have in my daily travels, and the conversations that I have, it doesn't matter where I go. And think about it. Back in the days where I went, I travel a lot. So probably 10 years ago, the level of consciousness, it wasn't as vast as what it is today. Like, it existed in places, but there's places that you would never think in your life. You would not think these people are lit with consciousness. I went to the UK. I was in Birmingham. We call it Birmingham Veg, but it's formerly known as Birmingham. And it was thousands of conscious people, y'all. I'm talking about thousands of conscious people. I'm going to take you to a video, as a matter of fact, because the technology we got right now, I could show you better than I could tell you. This shit is exciting. We haven't even utilized 3% of it. But case in point, henceforth, that's why we will be in class this upcoming Thursday and from there on. You know what I mean? Because it's time to teach. It's time to really go in. It's really time to go in, and it's time to review a lot of the works that have been done, not just a year ago, not 100 episodes ago, but works that have been done 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 15 years ago, because those works are very relevant today. The same way that we go and crack open books that the great master teachers wrote in the 20s and the 30s, even our master teachers, the big homie them, Garvey, the philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey, right? Make sure y'all go and get this book, okay? Make sure y'all go and get this book. This is a good one too. The History of the Virgin Islands of the United States. It shows how this was the first slave uprising before Haiti. It was in St. Croix. Go and look it up in the early 1800s. But yeah, Mr. G is going to be on the Breakfast Club. Shout out to Mr. G who wrote this book. This book is a must read. You know what I'm talking about? This book got the illest story about your boy Red Pill in it. Like, nobody has written a book that was iller talking about, Dr. Sabi and Brother Red Pill, the relationship that we had, and how Dr. Sabi was looking all over the world for Brother Red Pill, you know what I mean? And he couldn't find me. And, the name of this chapter is called Finding Philip. I'm going to try to pull it up to show it to you. I might even read it. Look. The Story of Phil, chapter 18. This is a Bible verse. The Story of Phil. I'm going to read this before the night is out. And we're not going to be here very long because I'm going to respect my brother Rich and Professor Griff because they have a show coming on tonight where Professor Griff is going to address the situation with Chuck D, Public Enemy, and Flavor Flav, where apparently Flavor Flav was removed from the group or fired from the group. And I'm a little divided in my stance or my assertion of what I just saw, because in my mind, I don't think how could Flavor Flav be fired from Public Enemy? Like, I don't understand that part. Regardless of what he represents, the negativity or the coonery or whatever we don't agree with in the way that he carries himself. He was the court jester when we met him, and he has remained as such to this day. He's actually staying true to who he said he was, because in this mythos or in this quote unquote, the reason why people reacted to him is because of the archetype in which he represented, and that was the court jester. And then he became the quote unquote archetype for the crackhead, for the basehead, right? But when he was doing the basehead dance, when he was doing 911 as a joke, and he was doing the fiend dance that the young people be doing today, nobody had nothing to say. When he was out here with a bigger, when his clock was bigger than your stopwatch, niggas ain't have nothing to say. I mean, His shit is full coonery. You know, he ushered in the reality TV series as a genre. His heavily melanated, magical Baron Samedi ritual with Bridget, right? It was Bridget and Baron Samedi. He's wearing a top hat. He's blue, black, gold teeth. You know what I'm talking about? There's a sexual attraction between the two. They're lusting after each other. That's Baron Samedi and Bridget, bro. You know what I'm talking about? That's a ritual. That was a myth right there. That was a straight ritual that they were playing out. And he's cooning heavy on the show. I mean, y'all already know what. Yeah, we got I Love New York out of that. We got remember, it was those girls. Those were the first, and from my memory, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the first prototype of black woman where they completely mimicked porn stars in their aesthetics, in their quote unquote, the way that they look. They did not differentiate the way that these contestants that were on the Flavor of Love reality show, where he did what? He was giving them names based off of how they look. He was giving them all of these fruit names and stuff like that. What does that remind you of? We still don't know some of these girls' real names. And the way that they look, the aesthetics, the deadpan look face, right? I'm talking about the long, the weave that the girl that was in the movie The Ringer was wearing. You remember The Ringer, where she came out the TV and shit? Yeah, that weave, the long dead shit, the bone straight long shit. The wild bad boob job. Remember New York? Remember New York's boob job? This is New York. Flavor Flav, come and kiss me. I'm like, yo, that shit look disgusting. You know what I'm talking about? And then all of the girls that he had on the show, like the girl made the chicken in the microwave. I'm saying go back and look at this. All of those, if those girls showed up on Pornhub, they will look like they was at home. They would not look out of place. You feel me? There's certain casts that you can't do the deep fake thing. You can't switch heads and put them over there. But you could do that with those girls because they were mad trashy. They were mad trashy. That was the foundation in which this whole reality world is built upon. He was the one that really got the first big ratings. Yeah, Hoops was that. Yeah. And the reason why everybody watched it was Hoops. She's the only one that saved the thing. So they gave you the baddie, right? They gave you the little baddie. Then they gave you Flav, who's a court jester. He gonna make you laugh, you know. This is chaotic melanin in action. You niggas was clapping for Keisha Cole mama, right? Remember her? You niggas was like, Frankie, go ahead, Frankie. Oh. Without him, we wouldn't have had Delicious. Talk back to me. You know what I'm talking about? The shit came with treats. It was not a super negative. I love Flavor Flav's reality show thing. But yeah, Delicious on Pornhub. Hoops on another channel. I'm just saying. Bridget, Dolph Lundgren's wife. All of them. I just peeped a lot of stuff when I was watching the reality, the unfolding of it and what they were doing with Flav's image. And then he was going so hard in the reality world. Becky. Yes, Becky. Don't forget Becky. The girls, the white, remember the Becky spit on the girl? She spit on New York. All kind of fuckery was taking place. This is Flavor Flav's under his watch. This is the man that I saw say fight the power. This is the man that I saw say 911 is a joke. This is the man that I heard because the things that Public Enemy did to I was woke when I was like 9 and 10, bro. What people are considered woke right now, I feel like I was that at 9 and 10. When I heard Public Enemy when I heard My Philosophy by KRS-One, when I heard Rakim and them, when I heard a few other artists, and they were teaching and rapping, and the videos was lit. Oh man, I was out of here. I was out of here. I was when we do the art gallery show in the near future, you're gonna see our artwork from 1990. I think I might have something from 89. You'll see where my mind was at based off of the fact that I was being exposed to militant Ice Cube, militant Chuck D. I was going in. You know what I'm saying? My mind was, I was learning about the Panthers. I was we was wearing Malcolm X shit. We was wearing the big X hats and the X's and everything. Malcolm X came out. You know what I mean? Farrakhan was popping. Everybody had Farrakhan tapes. Malachi Z. York, his books was everywhere. His scrolls was everywhere. All of the hood had all of that. And then we had comic books. I knew that Professor X and Magneto were archetypes. Before they made Google, I figured that out. I knew that the X-Men were the outcasts and the misfits and the people who had extraordinary, Henrietta Lacks like DNA. You know what I mean? These people were uncanny because they were going online. I understood those concepts. So when I was getting into the works of Dr. Yorks and them, I was prepared for that. Even when I got into hip hop and I'm listening to these MCs who mostly are God body, right? They got more knowledge of self than half of the people that are out there judging them. You know what I'm talking about? And they have more knowledge of self than 85% of their listening audience. You know what I'm talking about? Regardless if they're not rapping about it. But if you came out of New York's rap scene in the late 80s and in the 90s, it was almost like how they're being exposed to gang life right now. You're not going to come through it and not be exposed to it. The same way that the gang life engulfs everything on that music scene, in the New York rap hip hop scene. Because like I pointed out, since Bobby Shmurda, right? And I'm going to get into that a little bit tonight because the majority of that breakdown, when I review the Trayvon Martin Factor, which was a classic 3-part series that I did 10 years ago, that still you can find on Google to this point. And I highly recommend that y'all go and listen to that. Yeah, I highly recommend you take some time out and you go listen to the prophecy and the information and the quote unquote straight. I'm talking about I hit it on a bullseye, and I can say that right now because I played it the other day and listened to it. It's all there. It's timestamped. The Trayvon Martin Factor. So on Thursday when I'm doing class, I'm going to present the Trayvon Martin Factor 2020 and what I will show in great detail because all of the pieces of the puzzle have been laid out ever since we presented it in 2013. It was July 2013. Zimmerman just got acquitted. The mother of my daughter called me crying as if you would have thought that somebody stabbed her in her body or something. She was in pain. She was in pain. And people were reacting like that. And there was a lot of pain in the Black community. And the Black community went through so much pain that they have almost forgot about it because they've done everything in their power, from self-medication to fornication to whatever you call it, to mumbling, to leaning, to Xannian, to forget about that pain that was caused during that whole ordeal that took place from February 2012 until July 2013. We're going to review that because that needs to be reviewed, right? I'm going to show that was the catalyst to consciousness, okay? That was the catalyst to consciousness. Consciousness existed. Yeah, I'm purple like Prince. Consciousness existed, right? But no. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Black pain management. You know, pain is whatever. Pain is a part of the duality of what this life represents. There's always going to be pain and pleasure. There's always going to be pain and pleasure. We spend so much time trying to point out and explain pain, when pain is a natural, it's a natural force. Growth is definitely a result of pain. How many times have you been in a gym and they told you that you got to go through some pain in order to grow? You got to destroy that body. You got to rip those muscles in order to build new ones. You dig what I'm saying? So you build and destroy. You destroy the body and then you build it back up. The God bodies was telling you build and destroy. In this reality right now, the possibilities, the probability exists that this reality could be destroyed in as fast as it was built up, or faster rather. You know what I mean? This whole reality that we exist in, this whole capitalistic system, this whole economic system, this whole quote unquote societal structure, this whole democracy could cripple in about a month. That possibility and that probability exists in this day that we're sitting right here, March 2nd, 2020, right? So in 2013, why I say that there was a catalyst of consciousness, because consciousness already existed, but it birthed what we know as the woke generation. It birthed what we know as the woke movement. It birthed what we know as wokeness, which is an aspect now and it's a different chapter in consciousness. All right. It's part of it. It's a different chapter. Our people became woke after the acquittal of George Zimmerman's murder of Trayvon Martin, because of the way that whole ritual and that whole quote unquote grand ritual was played out, where damn near everyone was a participant, a willing participant. They basically they remember the t-shirt said what? What did the t-shirt say on it? What was the slogans that you were given? I am Trayvon. So people became Trayvon. There's a cover of Essence magazine with Dwayne Wade and Zion on the cover. And it says, I am Trayvon. Okay? I'm going to show that in a lecture. There's a cover of an Ebony or an Essence magazine with Dwayne Wade, right? And the young boy, Zion, who I will refer to as Zion against everyone's, discretion. And the young man had on a shirt that says, I am Trayvon. And when I saw that, I'm looking back, I'm like, yo, that's very interesting, because when I really think about it, it's his generation that was being traumatized. It's his generation, Zion. It's his generation that has been, quote unquote, targeted. Let me show you something real quick about young Zion and who he was around and things. Check this out. I got this on my IG page, right? This man right here that looks like Kato from the OJ trial. Let me blow this screen up. This is the male nanny, right? This is the male nanny of all of his boys, his black boys. This is the nanny that he had around his young boys as they were growing up. Now, one of those young boys wants to be referred to as a woman or a girl and is considering cutting off his phallus, okay? And this is something that I've never seen before. I've never seen a male nanny, okay, who looks like, dude from Point Break. So the mother of Zion was saying that there were things that she was concerned with in his behavior, and it began to change. And both of them, the Wade and the young man's behavior, began to fall into a very dark place when Gabrielle Union came on board. Okay, so I would definitely never rule out what looks like to be something so obvious at this point. You know, them two might have been in a yeah. He looked like Val Kilmer, right? What the fuck? What is this, Heat, my nigga? What are you doing? You cosplaying Heat? You was trying to be De Niro, Flash? You know, it looked like they might have had something going on, right? They might have had something going on. You let a Roman into your castle, into your house. You know what I'm talking about? With a lust demon, you let a Roman in, you let a vampire in, and the vampire, and these young boys have interviews with the vampire, and he commences to bite. You understand? That's how that shit works. He commences to bite. Yeah, he's a bati boy, bite boy, and that's the interview with the vampire. It's vampirisms. And he probably got let in through the lust of the sins of the father, shit like that. This shit goes deep. Nobody wants to peel back the surface between all of these things that we see going on in society, that some of us can see through these things. I got on my They Live glasses. I see beneath the surface of shit. While we on it, let me show y'all this. While we on this page, let me give y'all a commercial real quick before we even begin and chop it up. I could just go through this damn page and have a whole show. Hold on. This is the trailer for the upcoming lecture, y'all. Check us out.
Cardi B's best friend is facing charges tonight in a sweeping gang roundup.
Spread of the coronavirus. The World Health Organization says the risk of the virus expanding worldwide is now classified as very high.
They discovered a victim inside the house had been shot.
That victim was 20-year-old pot smoker.
Jeanette Respass was indicted on racketeering and assault charges. They say she was the highest-ranking woman in the 5'9" Brims gang. That's a subset of the Blood Street gang.
Join me on Thursday, March 5th, 8 p.m. to midnight. Fear of a Black and More Messiah.
Yeah. Talk black to me. Uh-oh. All right, there you have it. Cardi finna get. Oh yeah, Cardi finna get that work. Them boys is on him. Let me explain something to you. For those of you who come to class on Thursday, you're going to see how these the federales or the feds is beyond watching the hip hop industry at this point. The feds is they're cleaning up the hip hop industry. There's going to be a level of censorship. There's going to be a level of oversight. There's going to be a level of surveillance. There's going to be a crackdown, by just based off of the conjunction of what these planets represent. That's what you're seeing, Thank you, Angela. I appreciate you for that hefty donation. You signed up for the Facts 2020. That's what's up. I appreciate that. I appreciate you for that. You know what I mean? You were in for a definite treat as a Facts 2020 member. We have so much things lined up for you. Everybody, make sure you sign up to the Facts Initiative, facts2020.org. Make sure you go to Kings County to support and to get you some fly drip. This is a whole fit right here. You know what I mean? And Patreon, those that want to become the patrons or the Patreons or the investors, or just the people who are showing, you know what, brother, I see what you're doing. I got you. I know you don't got to worry about the small hat throwing bags at you and whatnot, because we're going to take care of you. So shout out to all of my Patreons. All right. Y'all made a lot happen. Yes. So yeah, what you saw being shown in the trailer is just it's a montage of some of the things that we'll be getting into. One of the themes of Thursday's class is going to be the perceived threat. We're gonna deal with the perceived threat. Why the feds after Cardi B though? Because the feds are a surveillance organization, right? The feds are a surveillance organization. So if the feds if they're surveilling somebody, if they're watching someone, and you happen to come across their radar, and if they watching somebody of a lower ranking, and they could tie a big catch. If they could get Cardi, if they could bring down Cardi B, that means a lot to certain people in law enforcement. Any rapper, any quote unquote celebrity of a certain stature. Cardi B promote gangs. Nigga, Cardi B's in a fucking gang, and everybody knows that. You know what I'm talking about? Like, let's not act crazy like we don't know that. Cardi B is in a gang. Little babies know that, and they're drawing this line. They're drawing this imaginary demarcation line between entertainment and what they deem as real life. That's the line that they're drawing, and they're encroaching closer into the Zion of hip hop. Think about the Matrix with the encroachment of the Sentinels into Zion, where the heart of the whole movement represented. So they're encroaching in closer and closer through the surveillance of social media. You know what I mean? Through social media. You're waiting to pay for the lecture, but Eventbrite says it's sold out. I guess I'm late. No, that's an old link. Hold on. Let me give me 1 minute, y'all. Thank you for even showing me that, brother. I gotta put the new link in the chat. My bad. Gotta put the new link. Because when I made the Eventbrite about a month ago, this was supposed to be March 1st. We were gonna do this lecture. But when we changed the format of the whole thing, where we were going to begin Thursday classes, we said, let's just start this. Let's start Thursday class with this lecture, So the first event closed, and we got to throw the new one up. Y'all all right out there? So yeah, so the perceived threat is what I'm going to show. The perceived threat. I'm going to tap into the case that I'm telling you about with Trayvon Martin, going all the way back into 2013, when the justification for his murder, the justification for his execution was the perceived threat. Okay? The fact that he was a perceived threat. He didn't represent a clear and deadly threat. He didn't have to do anything at first. He represented a perceived threat. That's why he was, quote unquote, followed by Neighborhood Watch, top flight security, my name Zimmerman, right? So when the jury decided to acquit this non-police officer for taking a life by standing his ground, they sent out an echo into not only law enforcement, but around the world, that there was a quote unquote standard that has been set now to where black life, or the not just black life, but the black life of the youth was expendable. It was up for debate, and it had no value. And it was the perceived threat, because what happened during the trial of Trayvon Martin, if the family was paying attention, is the fact that they did a job of laying out. They did an expert job of laying, and this is the prosecution that I'm speaking of, when they were painting Trayvon Martin as a quote unquote thug. Remember, that was the only thing that they had to prove, was that Trayvon Martin was not just a perceived threat. They had to prove that he was the threat. And by doing that, they were able to acquit George Zimmerman, because he was justified in the murdering of that young man as a result of that. And that set a standard, that set a precedent, that was a catalyst. And that catalyst has been carried out. That was a dog whistle, that was a catalyst, that was a shot heard around the world. And that was the beginning of their crusades against an archetype. The archetype was the Black Hood. And I'm going to show you his death picture. And I don't want to alarm anybody, but I have to show you what I'm talking about. Okay? And no, I'm going to show the picture during the lecture. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it on this YouTube network because I don't want to get flagged for that. Right? Because it is a gruesome picture. You know, he's laying there. He's on a lawn, and he's in a position of the hangman card with a gray hood on, with his eyes open and his mouth open, looking in the sky. His soul has left his body, but he has on a gray hood. So the reason that they were saying the Black Hood, the Black Hood, the Black Hood, this, the Black Hood, that, he was in the Black Hood, the Black Hood. It was almost like code words. It was almost like their quote unquote double speak, where they were actually speaking about the Black Hood. And the pictures that they showed of Trayvon Martin, he had his two middle fingers up with the Tupac pose, right? He had one where he had his bottom fronts was showing, and then there was another one where he was blowing smoke out of his mouth to either he was smoking a black, which reminds me, I'm gonna have to light up in his memory. This is hemp. I don't want anyone to be alarmed. I'm not promoting the smoking of marijuana or anything. This is actually hemp. This is some CBD. You know, we're about preventative measures these days. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm gonna put that up in his memory, because I'm not gonna evoke the name of that ancestor, that young man who is still in the realm of victimhood. You know what I mean? He's still in the realm of victimhood. You know, so we still have to, you know, pay homage to that young man, because that young man, you know, he was utilized in a grand ritual in a way that I don't think that he ever knew that he would. But he is a legend. He is a catalyst to consciousness. He gave birth to the woke movement. And I give thanks to the woke movement. You understand? I give big thanks to the woke movement, the woke jokes, everybody. You know what I mean? Everyone, because I was a woke joke before. You know what I'm talking about? I was woke before. So I know what I'm not here to judge. I played with it before too. I knew shit, and then I act like I ain't know shit. So I know what it means to be woke. You know what I mean? I was woke for eons. Yeah, I'll touch on that. After the death of Trayvon, homosexuality. This is a community. We're having a community meeting tonight. Episode 100. This is like a town hall. This is like a town hall meeting. Why? Because we could all testify. You don't need me to say everything that what's already known don't need to be said, right? But going back to what I was saying about the perceived threat. Right? The perceived threat. Any man using his common sense. Any woman using her common sense. Any human being honest with oneself and true to oneself could take an honest look and say that young men grew up with the option of not being the perceived threat. And we can honestly say that in a protected society, these young men decided that they wanted to be in a protected society and not as the perceived threats. Because that life right there, that's not the perceived threat. That is not a threatening archetype in quote unquote dominant society that I affectionately call Nova Roma. Americana Nova Roma. I have a whole lecture that I did on that. Into Deep 2.2. No, American Gods. Americana Nova Roma. Right? This is the new Rome. This is the new Rome. This is the new, this is undeniable that we are now in the throes living amongst Nova Roma. This is a mimic of Rome, going all the way down to the lifestyle that we're witnessing, the quote unquote proliferation of alternative lifestyles. That is something that Rome was famous for before the falling of their empire. The Senate, the crookedness, all of this emperor talk, the way that they treat the subjects, the brutality from the policy officers or the armed, the death squads and whatnot. It's wrong. And the perceived threat is the Carthaginian inside of Rome. The perceived threat is the Hannibal Barcas. That's the perceived threat. The perceived threat in Rome is the Carthaginian. If you are moving like a Carthaginian, if you are moving like an alpha, if you're moving like you Hannibal Barca, if you're moving like a warrior, if you're moving like, if you're not moving, you're the perceived threat. The perceived threat is intricately tied into a genetic fear that one group of people inherently have for another group of people. And this other group of people, because they don't have that same fear, might not even realize that that fear exists. And they carry on in their everyday lives completely ignorant of the fact that those around them who they were erroneously told were made equal to them are completely fragile and completely threatened by the genetic makeup of the people who are around them. And then on another level, the fear of the perceived threat going back to what I'm saying in this situation, would be the quote unquote heterosexual black man, right? Who is the quote unquote seed planter, the seed planter, the one who quote unquote carries on and plants life into wombs. So the perceived threat, the one who can eradicate a whole race or a whole group or a whole nation and completely genetically switch it and change it. That fear is now projected into the subjects, and the subjects now become the perceived threat, and the perceived threat has to be eliminated, and the perceived threat has to be neutralized. The perceived threat a few weeks ago was a man by the name of Calvin Brodus, who is a gang member, and the gang members are the perceived threat. Okay, the gangs and the gang members and the street nations, they in this society, they are considered the perceived threat. Those are threatening figures who will be neutralized and targeted and basically singled out in a society where they're going to decide to do something to the perceived threats. And he said something in his rebuking of Gayle King, right? When he invoked the gangs to commence to rioting, or so as it may have been perceived. You know what I'm talking about? And he got activated. He activated a segment of society that looks like you, walks like you, and talks like you, but they do not consider themselves you at all. These would be people in societies such as a Boule, the Archons, you know, these upper levels, oath takers, right? We're going to get into that as well. The oath takers. The fact that we live in a society where multiple people exist who belong to multiple groups and to multiple movements and to multiple organizations and to multiple bodies by way of an oath. Something that you know nothing of if you're not part of that oath. So in this society, we're seeing a lot of things take place in entertainment, in the real world or whatever, in law enforcement, you know, just in you know, in social justice amongst people who have sworn amongst each other through oath. Love, loyalty, honor, commitment, right? Keep in mind, brothers like you know, Snoop Doggy Dogg. He belongs to a gang. That gang has an oath. That gang, to get in that, to be a part of that gang life, you have to take an oath. There's an oath. It's blood in, blood out. And then they're pursued by the police. And those police officers belong to a gang themselves, and that's called a fraternal order of the police, and they're oath takers, and they follow an oath. Okay? And then there's other people, and they follow their oaths. A brother like Pop Smoke, he belonged to a situation where he took an oath, and that oath was something that he had to follow to his last day. These people in these boules and whatnot, they're oath takers. There's nothing that you can say. There's nothing that you can do. There's nothing that you can reason with. There's an oath that they've taken, and they have to stand. They have to stand on that. You can't make the blue wall and whatnot fall down, and the wall of silence. They're oath takers. They took an oath. You have to ask yourself, what oath have you taken? And are you willing to take one? And is that the road to power? You know, is that one of the veins to the powers that people, you know, seem to not have? Because a lot of those organizations that do take oaths, that do have people who have pledged their lives and will put it on the line, and they're like, yo, I'm living for this. They seem to go places. They seem to make things happen if they need it to happen. So we're going to explore that aspect of the oath takers, you know, because that's a lot of the things that we're dealing with these days. With you know, that we're seeing is that it's a lot of people who have committed to oaths. When Malcolm X joined the nation, was that an oath or not? Was that an oath or not? Did he not take an oath? You know what I'm saying? Was that, you know, I'm wondering. You know. So, yes, breaking the oath. And then you have the oath keepers, which were the armed militia group that ran up in Missouri, right? They ran up in St. Louis during the Ferguson riots. You know what I'm saying? And they were walking hand in hand with law enforcement, and they were on site, you know, to let the melanated people know of Ferguson that they'll draw down on them in any minute. You know? Malcolm X was definitely not a Mason. No, who said that? Malcolm X was in the Nation of Islam. What are you talking about? That's right. His father, Trayvon Martin's father, is an oath taker. I could go to Google right now. It's on, you know, it ain't even a secret. He's a master Mason. He's a master Mason. So, you know, these people deem us to be the perceived threat. You know, when Snoop started saying what he had to say, now you see what they're doing to Snoop. He got to sit down with Jada Pinkett Smith, and Willow was ice grilling him, and all kind of shit is going down. I'm waiting for his next pop up. He might even turn into Snoop Lion and make an apology song. You know what I'm saying? But this shit is a joke. This shit is a joke. These people is treating this whole thing like a joke. You know, even though I'm thankful for the fact that there's a whole woke movement and woke people, you know, this thing, you know, and I can't blame it on them because the conscious people are the ones that started the jokey shit. You know, we can't throw this shit on the shoulders of the woke jokes. You know what I mean? They came into a circus, to be honest with you. Jada needs a Black history lesson. I'm sure she knows some things. You know what I mean? You can't walk through life and be you can't be ignorant in these days and age. You know. Oh, what's my thoughts on Fury cheating Wilder? Shit, they need to make that. They need to give him his belt back. The hell, there ain't nothing else to talk about. You know. So yeah, we have a lot of information that we're gonna share with the family. You know, leading up into the summer, there's just a lot of stuff going on. I'm gonna need everybody to subscribe to the channel. We're gonna be doing some rollouts. We got some apps coming. We got a lot of new stuff coming. So just stay tuned. You know what I'm saying? Stay tuned. You know. But yeah, we're gonna shut it down because I got work to do. I got a lot of work to do. Let's go through a few things real quick before we shut it down. Oh yeah, let's talk about the corona thing. I don't want to leave y'all without being responsible and, you know, giving out some information just in case the family may not be hip to what's going on. But don't panic, you know what I mean? But make sure, like maybe as early as tomorrow or the next day, to go and get you some food supplies. Like don't let this one just breeze by, but don't give it the panic energy. Don't give it the scary energy. Don't give it the don't feed into it, because we haven't fed into it, so it hasn't manifested in a way that they're trying to make it manifest. You feel me? They're trying to make it manifest. Keep that in mind. That if it does blow up and explode, it's because black people started freaking out. You know what I mean? And black people started putting that shit into their motherfucking. It took precedence right in the middle of their minds. You know, we have to somewhat continue to avoid them creating a victim situation where our people become victimized, right? But if you do see things begin to deteriorate, the best thing that you have is your tribe, okay? And that you have to get with your tribe. So that's what you should be focusing on, your tribe. Whoever you deem that to be. I can't determine that for you, but that's what's most important. You dig? But everything gonna be all right, because this is the ancestors shaking shit up. I could feel it in my bones. You know what I mean? The ancestors are playing, they're behind the scenes making this thing do what it do. It's some cleanup time anyway. It's time for some things to get shaken up. But I'm going to show you in a year of fear what fear does for the positive and for the negative. So if you could utilize fear for the positive, then you'll be able to surf through 2020 on some cowabunga shit. You know what I mean? You'll be able to take this thing, you'll silver surf this thing the way that it needs to, the way that it's being done by people who are surfing it. Remember, this is 2020. Whatever you want it to be, it will be. There's nothing stopping this. Go back to the shows that we did with Ross Ben, right? Go back to the show that we did with KT the Arch Degree, where he lays out the scientific information about coronavirus, everything it represents and everything it doesn't represent. So you can inform yourself, and then you can inform other people, because you know what our people are about to do with this information, especially those who don't have the knowledge. They just know if they see somebody Chinese, that they finna set it off. If they see somebody coughing, they finna set it off. You know what I'm talking about? It's going to be ugly on the trains in New York City. It's going to be ugly on the trains. I might be filming. I might not be filming. I might not want y'all to see the shit that's going down, because it's already, it be shit going on, and I cannot pull my phone out for the life of me, because I'm just not that, you know what I mean? I'm not an opportunist like that. Like, I'm not the phone filming type of nigga. That's why we need some devices where I could just press a button, because I be wanting to show y'all the shit that I'm seeing. And this is before Corona. If you in New York, there's people out there that's watching tonight. Y'all from the town. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is, you know? But this is where we thinking, right? We thinking about China is slowing down on manufacturing. We're thinking about how can we, those of us that are in America who need manufacturing, there's thousands of us. Look, let me show you something. Let me show you some dope clothing. This is my brother, Athletics. Look at that. Look at that drip. You know what I'm talking about? Look at that quality. That's just the back of it. The front. My eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have manufacturing. We could get this stuff in America. You know, we could tap back into um, an economy. We could create an economy by becoming our, you know, by becoming manufacturers in America, made in America, versus made in China, you know, made in Harlem, made in Brooklyn, made in Atlanta, you know what I mean? Made in Haiti, made in Cuba, right? So I see the possibilities of new markets opening up. I see the possibilities of this whole thing shifting because the whole fact that China is being shut down by the coronavirus and their businesses is coming to a screeching halt, you know, and it's affecting the financial markets. And then in the stock market, they're dumping stocks and buying other ones. Remember, they're just like, oh, the market is diving. Yeah, because people are taking money out and they're putting that shit into gas masks. They're putting it into the stocks of all of the shit that's gonna be, you know, booming as a result of this pandemic or this quote unquote this weaponized yo, let me show y'all something, man. Let me show y'all something. Did y'all see this thing with Bill Gates and them? Like, this corona thing been planned for mad long, B. This is not something that's coming out of nowhere. Like, I got a video where they did a drill. There's always a drill before something happens, right? There's always a drill. Oh shit, they removed it. Say word. Look at this. Chinese doctors confirm African skin resists corona infection. Dr. Jewel Pookrum wrote, I often speak to you about how glorious and valuable melanin is, and I can't say it enough. We aren't taught about melanin growing up or at all, so we never understand the true mysticism and don't know all the functions of it unless we initiate our own studies. At every turn, the system is set up to destroy melanin, starting with the food system, the poison in the public water systems, the lies that are embedded in your mind, denying your power, and the list goes on. I think it's appropriate to say that the marathon continues. TMC, know thyself, and to thine own self be true. That was Dr. Jewel Pookrum with the Nipsey bars. Right? Okay. Let me see. I don't want to scroll past it. Is this it? Okay, this is it. Bill Gates sponsored. This is a drill that they had in called Event 201. Google Event 201. It's in October 2019. This is Bill Gates sponsored. All right. This is the eugenics Bill Gates. This is the billionaire going around the world. This whole thing that we're seeing is out of his camp. Let me show you. I'm not going to show you the whole video because it's 11 minutes, but I'm going to show you something.
It began in healthy-looking pigs, months, perhaps years ago. A new coronavirus spread silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness with symptoms ranging from mild flu-like signs to severe pneumonia. The sickest required intensive care. Many died. Experts agree, unless it is quickly controlled, it could lead to a severe pandemic, an outbreak that circles the globe and affects people everywhere.
The mission of the Pandemic Emergency Board is to provide recommendations to deal with the major global challenges arising in response to an unfolding pandemic. The board is comprised of highly experienced leaders from business, public health, and civil society.
This is
We could be
October,
looking
y'all.
at double the number of cases in 1 week and 16 times as many in a month if we are not able to stop the spread. That would be on the order of 500,000 cases, and it would continue to rise exponentially. In 3 months, we could be approaching 10 million cases.
We're at the start of what's looking like it will be a severe pandemic. And there are problems emerging that can only be solved by global business and governments working together.
We have known about caps-like viruses in animals and people for decades, but have not been successful at developing a licensed vaccine. And sure, there are new technologies that may help, but it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
I'm not optimistic about having a vaccine in time to be relevant during this pandemic.
This is in October,
So the policy crisis in question
2019.
for this board in this meeting is this. How should governments, business, and international organizations allocate and distribute pandemic antivirals and medical supplies to the people who need the most?
What we've seen work very well in the HIV field is, in fact, procurement through the Global Fund. So having a centralized mechanism, so financially able to procure on behalf of affected countries is going to be critical. I think the second thing is it's going to be very important that for the business sector, for manufacturers of antivirals, that we have clarity around what the need is and where the need is and who are making the decisions.
I think that given that the countries most affected are those that are low and middle income countries with unequal access to technology, to finances, the UN has a worldwide footprint, universally recognized, and universal membership.
A global stockpile would certainly help ensure more rational and strategic allocation, but the reality is that we don't have the logistics capability, even within the UN, to bring that together in one place and run it. So this is where I think a collaboration between the international organizations like the World Health Organization and the private sector, which runs these supply chains for many purposes every day, understand where the supplies are, make smart decisions about how to allocate them to the people who need them in the places that need them the most, and then work with the industry to move those supplies from where they are today to where they need to be.
Just to underscore the point that cooperation among supply chain providers or businesses that have huge supply chains can add a lot of efficiency.
Wait, let me explain to y'all what y'all watching, because y'all might not understand. This is a Bill Gates sponsored event called Event 201. It is a simulation drill. It is not real. Those are actors. Okay? Every single event that you've seen in America that you have to question is usually a drill before it happens. This is no different, right? So this is their version of quote unquote finishing. This is their steps that it takes before the corona becomes real. The first step is they put it in the book, Eyes of Darkness, in 1981, right? I'm going to show you. Shout out to the brother who brought that up. The Eyes of Darkness. So they plant that idea in 1981, right? Because in the book, it says that it was going to come out. That's in the lecture as well. They said in 2020, they said in the book that was published in 81, that in 2020 there's going to be a coronavirus, not a Guinness Stout virus, not a Red Bull virus, a coronavirus. You know what I mean? And it's coming out of Wuhan. Like, there's no such thing as hitting something, coincidentally. That's just a coincidence. No, that's called programming. That's programming. And then the next step in the program, the way that they'll do it is they'll create a drill. They'll create something in the visual realm either in the form of a movie or they're doing things like this where they're making these secret movies or these secret mock-ups or these secret quote unquote, drills, and they pass this amongst their upper tier people who know what to expect. This is basically the quote unquote playbook on what to expect and what things are going to roll out. So as an investor, from an investor standpoint, or as a stockholder standpoint, I could watch this video and begin to determine what to buy ahead of everybody else. So that's that's what you're watching,
To the whole process.
The question is, can you, through this international mechanism, really promote commitments to doing this as quickly as possible and give people a sense that actually if they contribute more, that they will have a better chance of protecting their own populations and their country's security and health.
So to be completely clear, most of this production would already be committed in contracts.
Yes.
It is almost unheard of that people are producing product without having a forward commitment for the consumption of that product. So the first thing that needs to be done, because this is not something that the countries currently control, unless countries are going to bring about emergency situations and co-opt an existing supply chain.
I think it's not likely. I agree that countries are not going to buy countermeasure to put into a global supply without retaining a large portion of it for themselves.
Public health agencies have issued travel advisories, while some countries have banned travel from the worst affected areas. As a result, the travel sector is taking a huge hit. Travel bookings are down 45%, and many flights have been canceled. A ripple effect is racing through the service sector. Governments that rely on travel and tourism as a large part of their economies are being hit particularly hard.
How should national leaders, businesses, and international organizations balance the risk of worsening disease that would be caused by the continued movement of people around the world against the risks of profound economic consequence of travel and trade bans?
If there's some sense that there's a UN institution that can do all of this, then I worry we're suffering from a delusional disorder on the power of the UN. It's really important to get those industries and their trade associations and an efficient leadership established, which is decentralized, but has a collective responsibility and accountability. And that needs to be supported by.
Damn. Thank you, my brother Anthony Gillard. Going back to what I was saying a minute ago. So you put the book out, right? Then you make the mock-up video, because family, this video that you're seeing, this video is not real. This is like a source video. But I promise you, I bet money on it. We could go and find something in LA or in Vegas where there's a bet for this, that you could take this video and then go to mainstream media and go searching, and you will hear that script being repeated by some of these newscasters verbatim. Verbatim. Because this video is not for the public right here. So then the brother Anthony, so they put in, they put it in a book, they'll put it in a video, a mock-up video, a visual representative of what's going on when the pandemic hits. Before it hits, they're gonna make it in film. They're gonna put it in your mind's eye. You know what I'm talking about? They're gonna plant it like the movie Inception. They're gonna plant the idea in your subconscious, and then they'll follow it up with Netflix, the world's biggest streaming platform that has the eyes and the ears of the masses. They have the attention of the masses through binging, through the analytics of how long people stay glued to Netflix screens. They have the analytics, they have the big data to show that they are the stickiest streaming platform on the planet. And they have the eyes, they have the quote unquote eyeballs, the attention, in the attention economy. They have one of the most important things that you can have, and that's the attention of the people. You dig? So they come out with a series called Pandemic, the series, right? The show Containment on Netflix is about the coronavirus and involves government conspiracies. Okay? So all of these things are being planted already into the minds of the unwitting people. Okay, Pandemic, the series, it came out the same week Corona and Lyme came out. The hero in the show is Bill Gates for the vaccines he created. Look it up. Okay? Netflix took the show down because people were saying they planned it due to the show covering the same issue. So they turned a thesis into reality. All right? This is how this thing works, y'all. They're turning theses into realities. All right? They're doing it by way of the media. They're doing it by way of quote unquote film. They're doing it by way of arts and sciences. I'm going to play a few more minutes of this and then we're going to wrap this thing up, fellas.
By the public leadership. What is essential, what is non-essential travel, we have to clarify this. Otherwise, if we go down to 20% bookings over a long period, the company will run down. That's a fact. Yeah, there's a whole complex set of issues in a highly interdependent world on supply chains that are just in time. We need to think about how much flex there is in that just-in-time supply chain system and make sure it keeps running. I think it's going to take specificity and it's going to take knowledge that only the private sector has. The UN can play an important coordinating facilitation role, but the companies know where those commodities are, where they move, how to move them. And that's where
that whether it's through the government's
How much control of information should there be, and by whom? And how can false information be effectively challenged? And what if that false information is coming from companies or from governments?
I think it's very important that
There's one of which is the
global, the GDP down 11%,
Look.
with
booming and we can then pass that on. But we also need to actually think about a technological answer to this.
Scenario epilogue.
The outcome of the CAPS pandemic in Event 201 was catastrophic. 65 million people died in the first 18 months. The outbreak was small at first and initially seemed controllable, but then it started spreading in densely crowded and impoverished neighborhoods of megacities. From that point on, the spread of the disease was explosive. Within 6 months, cases were occurring in nearly every country. The global economy was in a free fall. The GDP down 11%. Stock markets around the world plummeted between 20 and 40% and headed into a downward cycle of fear and low expectation. Businesses were not borrowing, banks were not lending. Everyone was just hoping to hunker down and weather the storm. Economists say the economic body crossing caused by such a pandemic will last for anything. The distrust of news and the breakdown of social cohesion could last even longer. We have to ask, did this need to be so bad? Are there things we could have done in the...
Yeah, so they cooking. How about it? Translation. They cooking. You know. You already see what they want to do. You already see what they want to do. So, like I said, Allah is the best of planners. And, you know, this thing is just like every other thing that they said was going to be something that it wasn't. The Ebola, the SARS, the Zika. Niggas thought they were gonna have Zika head. Foot and mouth disease, cat and wolf disease, mad cow disease. Well, some of you niggas did get mad cow disease. That you did get caught with that. Eating some of that Willy burger. You niggas got some mad cow disease. There's some mad cows out there. But for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Niggas don't got the Zika head. Niggas don't got West Nile virus. You know what I mean? Yeah, they don't got swine flu. So for all of the people that probably got it, we don't know who those are. You know what I mean? We don't know who those people are. They go into the category of people die every day, B. You know what I'm saying? Their numbers, there's a website that we got to show you how many people died today and how many people were born today. And usually it's double the people born that died. And the numbers are just jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping. You know? The numbers is just jumping. So I already know. I'm not thinking, I'm not hoping, because I don't do hope. I know that the family that are on a higher frequency, that are out here tapping into, you know, their higher selves, their reality is going to be much different than a person who is not tapping in. Your reality, you know, where you see, you know, that determines the what's going to be shown to you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so with that being said, y'all go to Black Magic, go and check out Professor Griff. All right. I'll be back on Wednesday. I might do the Trayvon Factor 2020 on Wednesday. That's still up in the air, but I got to get back to this lecture. I got work to do. You know, it's a whole bunch of things. I want to thank everybody for being here for the episode 100. From 100 on, it's just going to be even more lit. You know what I mean? Now it's time to level up. Now it's time to take this to another level. Now it's time to tap in and, you know, take this thing where it needs to be. You dig what I'm saying? And that's what you're going to have. All of my students who are going to cross over into the classroom. I have a goal of 500. I want 500 students every Thursday. For those who are going to join me from around the world, from all parts of the galaxy, you know, all I have to say is I look forward to teaching you. I look forward to being the humble servant and giving you this information, you know, that you came to get. So with that being said, love and light to the family. Y'all be safe out there. Don't get caught up in no hype. And I'll see y'all very soon. Tough Talk Tuesdays with Blue Pillar. Tap in. Peace.